Welcome back, folks. Now recently there were a lot of Q&As and live stream discussions with the developers about what's coming to World of Tanks and the current status quo. So today we'll talk about the stuff they covered, but basically I summarized all the transcripts, or I watched the videos of the live stream, and I'll put the summary in your face and we'll talk about it. But yeah, there were a lot of stuff covered, mostly mapped for this year, like Personal Missions 2.0 or Crew Rebalances something, or something like new customization for tanks, or the Polish, or the Italians, or the Tanks 1.0, the upgrades and other stuff. So we'll talk about all the stuff they covered, but basically they took like 3 hours for the RU stream, they took like 2 hours for the EU stream, and there's a Polish version as well, so there's like 3 live streams and whatever. So there's a lot of stuff we have to cover, but I'll give you guys my opinions on the stuff they talked about, but the main hot topic in World of Tanks, like artillery, like gold shells, Object 268 version number 4. So we'll talk a lot, but here is the timestamp to jump towards the free roaming discussion topic that I'm just talking from my own opinions, my own personal opinions, as playing on the North American server as a Unicum. Doesn't mean much. So let's get to it. But it's kind of funny that on the EU stream, it's pretty normal, right? It's just like 2 webcams talking. But here's the RU stream, and here's the in-person discussion. Have you noticed something weird? All the furniture is very like hardcore, stereotypically Russian, like rugged Russianness. There's metal plated comfy chairs, pallets used as coffee tables, and barrels as podiums. I mean, there should be IKEA in Russia, right? Or Belarus, but yeah, you should get some IKEA furniture. It's not that hardcore. You don't have to be hardcore all the time. I must break you. Alright, so let's get to it. But here is the transcript on the North American server about the original RU stream. There's a lot of stuff, so I summarized everything with all the live streams and whatever. So I'll jump through all the stuff, but pause the video if you want to read. It's basically a shortened version of the wall of text, but it's still a wall of text. So I'll try to go through everything as quickly as I possibly can, but there's a lot. So basically about preferential matchmaking premiums, like the IS-6, KV-5, they plan on reworking all of them into normal tanks with normal matchmaking, similar to the light tanks, how they got rid of the scout matchmaking, but they say it's a weird, difficult balancing environment because you're balancing a KV-5 and it doesn't have penetration. It has 2 giant boobs that gets penetrated, but if you move it down a tier, holy crap, you have a KV-5 versus a KV-1 or something like a Sherman. Jesus. So balancing with these vehicles, it's pretty rough. So they're saying it's difficult for each individual tank, like the IS-6. I mean, for the IS-6, just give it more horsepower, give it the IS-5 gun, which is basically gold shell for the default, and maybe high explosive anti-tank. But yeah, just don't rage sell or trading these vehicles because you'll get the full maximum value once they're done with the rework. So just keep hold of them. But I have the IS-6, I have the IS-6 Black, so maybe the Super Pershing. They're changing everything, every premium tank with preferential matchmaking. So don't rage sell. XP and experience, they're just talking about fancy algorithms or calculations of how you get XP. So they're not going to introduce blocking for armor or armor blocking for XP, so random questions, but they never talked about the fancy or weird IS-7 glitch, where in rank battle mode, if you play the IS-7, you get absurdly more XP than the rest. So they never talk about that. Alright, I find it kind of funny, but okay. So for the matchmaker, so there's a special algorithm as well. You won't be able to always pick top or middle or bottom of the matching because everybody will play top tier all the time, obviously. It's the same that goes for map. You won't pick any map for the matchmaking because you'll always pick town maps. If you play super heavies, or if you play the S-Tank, you'll play Prokhorovka or Melanovka all the time, open field maps all the time, so they won't let you do that, logically. But yeah, they're almost done with the replacements of the IS, or tier 10s, but the IS4 is left, so yeah, IS4, how they're going to do that, don't know. So I don't know if they're going to jump around until the end of this year, but the IS4 isn't likely to be changed in the near future. So for summer or for spring of this year, we won't see that. So there's a lot of stuff about tier 8s seeing tier 10s all the time, but they've never answered it. So they also plan on reworking some of the middle tier vehicles with low win ratio, but never talked about the Leopard 1 or IS4 and how they have the lowest, some of the lowest win ratio of tier 10s. So it's all words. So they try to dodge the question or work around it, but yep, it's a mess. Also, they say that tomatoes and unicoms handle a vehicle differently, and that's one of the reasons that they're not going to balance the Object 268 version number 4 just yet, because they don't have enough data. So basically, paraphrasing, as long as we introduce more vehicles, the balance will always change, as well as with the maps. But yeah, the Object 264, I mean, it doesn't have the DPM, it doesn't have the view range, but holy crap, it's basically a faster Jagdpanzer E100 with 100 less health and about the same DPM as well. Not as good accuracy, but hell, you aim a lot faster than the Jagdpanzer E100, and your armor's bulletproof or shell-proof compared to the Jagdpanzer E100's lower plate and the mini machine gun turret on the superstructure. But yeah, they just basically jumped around the question and said that if you introduce more tanks in the future, they may be countering the Object 264 version number 4, Object 268 version number 4, and basically like more tanks will counter the previous tanks, and that's a cycle. Kind of stupid, but alright. So Object 268 version number 4 is being overpowered. It's normal, because usually that's how people feel about new stuff. Paraphrasing. So developers are working on bots to enhance on testing circulation of the vehicles in the test server. I don't even know. Alright. We'll talk about the Object 268 version number 4 in more detail later on, but Jesus Christ. So maps, mirror maps are imbalanced. That's why they don't have a lot of mirror maps. 5 new maps are in the works, both city and open fielded. So they're talking about having these 5 new maps this year, which is great. The first one is the Glacier map. I like that one. That one's pretty cool. Ice maps and desert maps are always awesome because we don't have enough winter fields or deserts, so not that many use for those camo. But there's also a broken ship in the middle. Pretty sweet. So smaller maps will be changed into larger ones like Insk and Karelia. That's good. Esports, there were a lot of talks about the new system to replace the Wargaming League. So official details will be announced at the end of the summer, so for those who are interested. But here is the big one: gold shells and premium ammo. So you will no longer be able to buy gold shells for gold, so that way they can change the stuff once everybody used up all the gold shells that they bought for gold. Mainly because it's illegal in some countries to change the value of something that could not or can be bought with gold, bought with real money, and if you change it, it's basically devaluing their purchase. Alright, so yeah, once with all the gold shell being used up, they can change the gold characteristics. Yeah, all the stuff. So they're planning on giving a new characteristic to the gold shells, whereas if you have AP shell, it's for armor, high explosive shell for no armor. Don't know how that's going to work out with the new shells, but it may have lower velocity but more penetration. I mean, if they change the stats like dispersion or accuracy for individual shells or DPM, that would be great. Like if you have the gold shell, it has more penetration but less DPM. I would like that. So we'll see, but there's a lot of talks. It's in the works, but it's all talks. So, that third-party mods. Developers will still work on banning stuff and having the mod hub, they're calling it, but just don't use any fancy in-game battle mods. That's all I have to offer. I only use customization mods like visual stuff, like your makeup, tank skins, or crosshair skins, and that's it. So I only use cosmetics, as they put it. So I don't use any of the fancy stats tracker, whatever they call it, or gun barrel pointed direction showing thingy majig. Those are questionable, so use your own discretion. But recently there was a shitstorm on the North American server. I don't know about any other I don't know about any other servers, but the shitstorm was people were banned or temporarily banned using mods that were from the mod hub, like the recent ban wave. Alright, that's stupid. But also there was a ban on chat as well. Like, people just randomly got chat banned for some reason. So I thought that was funny as well. Never got any of those, so I don't usually talk a lot. And mostly if I do talk, it's from my subscribers, so saying hi and whatever. But yeah, that's fucking weird and scary, so Jesus. Alright, so about toxic behavior, there were testings, or there's going to be there's going to be testings of disabling friendly fire in May. Don't know why would that help, but it's mostly for the talking part, in my honest opinion, like the communication part between your allies and yourself, and originally with the talking to the enemy players. But yeah, I would like to see the karma system they talk about, and how you could give like thumbs up to friendly teammates who help you out. Like, for example, if there's artillery backing me up all the time, thumbs up or something, like don't hit me as well. So alright, but that's very quickly talked about. Not that much details about all the stuff. Steamrolls and vehicle rebalances. Basically, they jumped around the rebalancing by saying there's not enough data, we have to wait. That's the paraphrase. Also, they said a example that the Type 59 was OP originally, then it became average, later it became boring, but after everybody complained that there should be a buff, then there was a buff. So that's the metaphor. But I mean, there's a difference between being OP and slowly being power crept to being super OP at the beginning. I mean, being really imbalanced. Type 59 was OP because everything was average-ish. Like, yeah, it was semi-OP because it just increment its head out in the stats. But with Object 268 version number 4, with vehicles like the 705A, their stats are completely higher by like 10% more. So like 55% win ratio compared to like the average 50. That's a lot. Like Type 59 is like 2% more. About. That's good, but it's not crazy, so I mean, yeah. Artillery situation has died down, relatively speaking, so only a few problems with the middle and lower tiers. M44, American Tier 6, but they're working on it. There might be new skills and perks and equipments in the future to mitigate the stun effects and artillery shell damage, but basically they're saying that players will behave like sheeps or birds in a flock, and they will gather up. Basically lemming train, unless you have artillery to separate them out and thin the herd, so to speak. But I like artillery. We'll talk about artillery in the end of the video, but Jesus. What a wonderful metaphor. So about crew skills and perks, so they're going to revamp it. They don't want a simplistic build to everything, like everybody has Brothers in Arms, Recon, Situational Awareness, Off-Road, Driving, Snapshot. I mean, those are the good ones. You don't have something stupid like increase your radio range. That's dumb. Compared to Situational Awareness, which increase your own view range. You don't want, yeah. Why would you ever want radio range increase or call for vengeance? Your vehicle's reporting of the enemies stay like 2 seconds longer after you're dead. Dumb. Also, like, you can see individual broken modules on the enemies. Kind of pointless, so they're going to rework everything. But it's a very complex and vast system, so they don't know how to transfer like super highly trained crew skills into the new system without devaluing their work. So for example, if you have a 7 skilled crew training crew, they want to have the same value, the same amount of time you put into those crews for the new skill system. So, okay, but yeah, it's going to be really hard. But basically, they don't want just regular builds that everybody goes for, like what I mentioned, so okay. So here's the miscellaneous stuff. Personal missions 2.0 planned for October of this year. That's great. You can activate both missions from these 2 separate personal mission tabs. That's also good. They plan on reworking the 4 premium tanks or reward tanks from the personal missions, as well as the clan rewards like the Object 907 or the M60. So also good. Working on normal scaling for the HD client. Plans to integrate vehicles in exchange for bonds. Don't even know what the hell that means. So it's not buying premiums for bonds, but there may be special premiums for bonds. Maybe. I don't even know what that means. So it's always normal to fight tier 10s in tier 8 platoons. No, oh shit. So you have to wait 40 seconds for a match to start. It's fine. So it's basically after the match queue, you have to wait in your own base for like 40 seconds. Some players it's like 20 seconds based on their computer hardware. So it's mostly about how to shave down this timer that they talked about in order to say premium time or boosters. But whatever. The loot box system was pretty successful, but only comes back during the Christmas season. There's no plus or minus 15% penetration spread as in Blitz. So currently it's 25, I believe. Working on jumping reticle fix. Plan to introduce PvE historical mode. So it's only historical. Whatever. I mean, there's a lot of bots, so it's basically like PvE. Hehe. Satisfied with the original Ensk PvE proposal. I have a video about that like 3 years ago, but you can go watch that. I like that original concept. Never implemented. 3 years ago. Damn it. Features like kill cams and other stuff risk stability of the client, so requires too much time to consider, but basically superfluous. You don't actually excessive. You don't really need it. Alright. There will be a few fun modes this year. Vehicle customization is currently being worked on. It's like stage 1 is the current paint stuff. Stage 2 is the 2-dimensional stuff like the emblems and other stuff, you know. Alright. Stage 3 is the clutter. Like the logs, sandbags, machine guns, whatever on your vehicle. So, yeah, stage 3 is the most complex, but there's no definitive plans for Type 5 and large, high explosive shells. T22 SR is staying as is. I want to like that vehicle, but the stigma you put on that thing, Jesus. T67 won't change because American bias? It's not a thing, but I mean, T67 is pretty good in the right hands, but yeah, you haven't seen, well, if you think the T67 was good, you haven't seen the original T49, which was the original version. That's like a Hellcat, but Jesus, the Hellcat was also pretty good. Super Conqueror is also currently being monitored because the spike in the win percent ratio, but it's been like, what, 4 months since the Super Conqueror come out? So it took them about a year to nerf the E5. So yeah, guys, nerf is coming in like a year for the Object 268 version number 4. Alright. M44 artillery is a known problem, yada yada. Tier 10 economy won't change. Paraphrasing, improved equipment is worth it. If you can reload 1 second faster, you'll stay alive. Unquote. But I calculated this 1 second faster compared to the rammer situation. The current rammer gives you 10% faster loading time, whereas the improved rammer gives you 2.5% faster, so it's 12.5. So in order to achieve 1 second faster of loading, you need to have a reload of 40 seconds. Yeah, it's kind of useless if you have a 40-second reload with artillery. So, yeah. So in my honest opinion, improved equipment doesn't give you that much range over normal equipments. Like, it's not 20% compared to 10% in the loading times. That would be crazy. So I would rather recommend you save the bonds for supposed special vehicles for bonds. That's what I think. I mean, get more tanks rather than get some slightly stats boost. Whatever, right? Alright, so if advantages comes with the 3D customization stuff, then all existing spare track links and sandbags and all the stuff will be removed to give you the option of putting like all spare track links on your tank. Like in War Thunder, but I think they took that away. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Also, they put like a bunch of bushes on your tank, so basically your tank is a bush. Dumb. Alright, so new tier 10 after the T10 and the Object 430 version number 2 will be released after World of Tanks 1.0, so it's not coming with the next patch. There's going to be a new bulletin board for clan players in the UI, and the next rework of the garage might show more details like terrain resistance and dispersion, and rank battles will stay for tier 10s, no for tier 8s or tier 9s. So that's the final, in-game content for high level players, I guess, or high tier players. So here's the additional stream stuff. So it's basically mostly a repeat, but Italian tanks will appear immediately after 1.0. HD maps will have slight changes, so there's going to be a slightly different feel to it. You have to readjust, but I like that. Might look into weather effects, but the developers don't want players with bad PCs to be affected by the weather effects, so that sucks. It's always the complaint. Havoc destruction won't be fully implemented, so you won't be able to destroy everything like mountains with your shells. That would be too OP, basically turning everything into flat ground, and having the S tank to be superior. Well, then again, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So the new lighting system might make the HD maps look flatter, but the slopes are all the same. So that's a optically illusion. It's a wall of text. No major problems with the current personal missions 1.0, so not with the stun effects or the medium tank missions or the heavy tank missions, blah blah blah. Developers are considering 4K support for the packages of the HD. Future personalization elements might have the crew show up in the background on the garage for the garage woods thingy-majig. It doesn't look that great. Multi-tier support is not coming for this year, even though we already have the Leviathan event. So it's like the Mark 1 and the car. So the Lanchester car, we're not getting wheel vehicles, even though developers are looking into it. So, okay. So they will see if wheeled vehicles with large guns could be implemented at tier 5 or something, but not now, mostly. We won't see tier 11 and higher, so no modern day tanks. Chieftain Mark 6 might be introduced, but not this year. They're thinking about a new separate tech tree for the heavies, for the British heavies, but it's not coming. And matchmaking algorithms will be constantly improved, hopefully. Jesus. Always fight tier 10s in tier 11s. Always fight tier 10s in tier 8, Sam. Jesus. It's been a long day. So additional Q&A stream with, I think this is a Czechoslovakian or Polish developer or something. But Polish and Italian tree will be coming this year. Polish and Italian tree will be coming this year. Polish tree will have more than just medium tanks, but no artillery. So interesting. But Defender may return to the EU, but the EU player base doesn't like it. Mostly. I mean, all the player base doesn't like it, but hell. Payday. Japanese tank destroyers may appear soon, but not too soon. Alright, there may be Czechoslovakian tanks, new Czechoslovakian tank this year. And Hungarian tree is not currently planned. Fiat 2000, the box, will not appear for the Italians. No plans to introduce the STRV-81 without the Sabaton Primo Victoria skin. Okay. No plans to introduce XP for damage blocked. The new Polish map will be coming with the Polish tech tree, obviously, likely at the end of this year. And bonds will not be available for gold. So basically, here is the end of all the Q&A and other stuff. It's mostly talk. So they did not talk mostly about the rebalancing of OPS vehicles. And they mostly talked about changes in World of Tanks 1.0, about the graphical settings, about the maps, like how it looks flat, but it's not. But mostly it's just whatever. So the only thing that really interests me is Personal Missions 2.0, coming in October of this year, hopefully. And maybe some of the crew personalization or crew skill changes, but that's likely for beginning of next year, in my honest opinion. So we're going to have the Italians for summer and the Polish for the winter. That's what I think, but I mean, some of the stuff is really excessive and no need for it. Like trying to test no team damage from the test server, turning off team damage, but what's that going to prove? I mean, just make a new system for the karma thingy majig. That would be fine, right?